Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Brendan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How you been? Catch me back up.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Trying to remember the last time we talked was in 2022.
Ooh,
So I would have been in Kelowna at the time, but now I'm back in Edmonton.
okay.
That's where I went to school, and that's where my family is.
Hmm.
So I was in Kelowna till 2024,
Hmm.
and then I got laid off from the job there, and I went to Taiwan for a year,
Oh, nice.
and I did a working holiday there.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the working holiday visa.
No,
It's
I have no clue what that is. What is that?
yeah. So it's called either working holiday or some places call it a youth mobility visa. A
Hmm.
lot of countries have it, including Canada. I'm not sure if the US does. So it's usually there's an age limit. So you have to be 35 or under. And some countries it's less than that, like 30 or under.
Hmm.
And then the idea is to get it's like kind of like a gap year. So you get basically an open work permit to do whatever you want while you're there for 1 year. And it's something I've always kind of wanted to do. And I went with my partner, and yeah, we moved to Taiwan for a year. I learned Mandarin while I was there, and I worked a little bit as a English teacher, which kind of sucked, to be honest. It really
What's
wasn't
that?
for me.
Oh,
Like I don't know if you've ever done teaching, but like teaching a group of like a small group of adults is probably fine.
hmm.
But something about there's two reasons I didn't like it. The main reason was, or one of the reasons was because I did a summer camp. I actually did two of them, and it was really poorly run. So they
Hmm.
gave me all the material, but the material was full of errors, and so I'm trying to teach these kids going through the materials, and then like I see stuff I'm like, no, that's not right, and then it's confusing me and it's confusing them.
Right.
That was frustrating. And then I think on a more broad scale, I just don't like being in front of a group of people, even if it's children.
Hmm.
Like I don't really have a problem with public speaking, but to be in front of a class all the time,
Hmm.
you really have to have a certain personality type. Like I consider myself more introverted, and so I felt uncomfortable. Even when it was going well, I just kind of like, I just don't really like this.
Gotcha. Huh.
Yeah.
I
And then
hadn't
I was
thought.
going into it too with
Hmm.
no education on no teaching experience, so that probably didn't help either.
Gotcha. I guess I've always thought that I was infatuated with teaching, like wanting to, like I've had a lot of good teachers growing up through grade school, and that was kind of like my nickname growing up. Like if I got some information, I wanted to share it with people, so people would call
Mm.
me like teacher, like before the age of 7. And but actually doing it is something else where it's like, okay, you've got like a course curriculum. Like sometime in college, they gave us um, a scholarship program, but part of the stipulation was that 1 hour out of the year you were tasked with going to a local middle school or elementary school and working with the teachers and helping the students that they needed help with, or just overall walking around the room and helping some of the kids. And some of these kids were like already bright. So like you're like, oh, I'm just going to teach you your times tables or your basic math or science. And it's like, well, they already know this. They're multiplying by like their 25s and doing three digit multiplication. So it's like, okay, what exactly am I here to do? But then they look at you as like this bigger person. But for me, it was kind of like getting over the public speaking at the time. And then obviously doing this has started to help that more and
Mm.
more. But
Totally.
there is something to be said about like getting in front of a group of students versus like adults. With adults is kind of like depending on who you're around, they've kind of been in that similar position. With kids it's like, man, I don't I feel like I don't want to screw up or have them think that, oh, this is all. It's like either if I do good or if I do bad, I'm a good adult or I'm a bad adult. So I think I can identify with you in there, and with you like sharing your experience of actually having gone through it and being like, maybe it's not for me. It makes me feel a little bit at ease to where I don't feel like I've got to keep chasing this thing that's either elusive or it's like I'm not fully committing to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I've done a little bit of tutoring, and I was a teaching assistant in
Mm,
college, and I didn't mind that. That was all right. And
right.
I think because it was more one-on-one,
Mm,
but it kind of felt like being up in front of a class. It's like you're performing. You have to
mm,
be on,
right.
and
Right.
because and for me teaching non-English speakers, they sometimes I could tell some of the students they just didn't really know any English, and they can't be engaged because they can't
Right.
understand me.
Just kind of watching
Uh,
your mouth move, words come out, and you're doing these gestures, and it's like, okay.
yeah, what is this guy talking about? Yeah. I don't know. I know I recognize that lots of people really love teaching, especially kids. And I
Yeah.
did get like just a taste of that, why people like it. Because you can see the kids do well and develop, and when the kids are engaged and they listen to you, it can be very satisfying to know you're helping them.
Right.
But all the extra baggage around it, it's just not something that I'm gonna pursue probably ever again.
Got you. Hey, that's honest though. And I mean, you saying that makes me think of why it seems like it's such a thankless thing, where it's like you need good teachers that bring up good students and not just more workers that get fed into the machine. But then it's people aren't necessarily compensating good teachers like they compensate programmers unless that teacher is able to leverage what it is that they do, not just being like, oh, I'm a nice person that's good with kids, but like if they can break it down to where you see the metrics of it to where it's like, hey, I'm as valuable as an engineer, if not more, because like I'm the source that helps produce these people in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Like a good teacher is worth their weight in gold. And you
Yeah.
don't really see all the extra work they do too, like marking behind the scenes and the lesson preps and all that stuff.
Mm.
And like I didn't have to do any of that, luckily. Even though that's kind of probably what I'm better at is the behind the scenes stuff than the actual, teaching.
Right. So I guess now that you're back home where your family's at, what are you finding yourself getting into?
Yeah, so I'm applying for work right now
Okay.
and finding out it's more difficult than I remember it being. And the whole job market changes, like with AI and
Mm.
how you apply for jobs and such. But I'm trying to just enjoy being back right now because I've been gone from my hometown for about 9 years
Oh
because
wow.
I went to the States
Yeah.
as you know, and then I was in Kelowna
Mm.
in BC, which is it's about an hour and a half flight from home, but it's like a 10-hour drive because
Oh,
it's through the mountains.
right.
So I would only go home like once or twice a year. And then I was in Taiwan, which obviously is the opposite side of the planet.
Yeah.
So it's been nice being back in my hometown, and I feel like I'm seeing it with new eyes because I've been gone for so long.
Yeah.
And I feel like my preferences for a lot of different things have shifted over that time. I think most people can say like after 9 years, you're not the same as you were 9 years ago.
Right. Right. For
You're
sure.
constantly evolving.
I guess
So
what
there's
are
lots of.
some oh my bad.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna
I was
say
going to
what are
say,
oh,
go ahead.
what are some of the things that where you've seen your preferences change, or what are you seeing differently being back home after 9 years?
Yeah. So the most obvious ones that come to mind are like even just like the weather, because growing up here and going to school here, like I hated the cold
Mm.
and I hated how long it was cold for, and that it just bothered me. But now that I've lived, like Plainfield was fine, but like New York was quite hot in the summer.
Mm.
Kelowna was very hot in the summer, and Taiwan was extremely hot in the summer. And
Mm.
I'm so tired of being hot and sweaty all the time. Like I think you can appreciate like I can't imagine working in Georgia now.
Yeah. That's
Like
where I'm at now.
it's oh man. Yeah, just I actually I looked it up and Taiwan's weather or I saw this map where it compared places in Asia to the climate in North America, and Taiwan was very similar to Florida weather,
Mm,
so hot and humid all the time. But here it's like even the cold. Now that I'm a little smarter about it, because like dressing a little bit better, it doesn't bother me nearly as much.
mm,
So I kind of appreciate not having to wear sunscreen all the time, and or at least not as often. And I don't know, it's easier to sleep in a cold room, and I like wearing hoodies and such, and little things like that that
yeah.
really kind of affect me. But and then other than that, like I also thought Edmonton was really boring when I was here. I thought there
Hmm.
wasn't much to do. Like it's not a major city. It's the population now is like one, well, they just had a big population jump, so it's about 1.4 million now.
Hmm.
But they have a lot of amenities here that they didn't have in Kelowna. So 5 years, spending 5 years in Kelowna, there's a lot of stuff that I just couldn't do
Hmm.
because they didn't have anything. Like they didn't have big venues and lots of like specialty shops they didn't have, specialty restaurants they didn't have, but that's all here.
Gotcha.
So I've been trying to explore more of that. And I also appreciated that it's more multicultural here. There's lots
Hmm.
more like restaurants, like international restaurants that also Kelowna really didn't have
Hmm.
because the population of Kelowna is around just over 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I might not stay here because I'm applying for jobs kind of across Canada. But
Hmm.
for now, I'm like really enjoying it. And it's nice being back closer to family because again, I've been gone for 9 years. So it
Yeah.
went from like, visiting them once a year to seeing them, once a week.
Right. That's pretty neat.
Mm,
It's funny that like what you're describing now is almost how I felt going to like starting out work back in 2014 right out of college,
mm,
and then within a couple of months of living in Louisiana and being like, okay, it's flatter in the Midwest, spend some time in Houston, and then finally go back home like either Memorial Day or somewhere like one of the major holidays and just being like, oh my God, like I appreciate rolling hills and having mountains. It's like they might not be the biggest in the world, but it's a big difference from where you look across and everything's flat. And then now you have greenery, you have shrubs and things like that, and just being like, okay, this is really a melting pot. And you just meet all kinds of different people. And I'm like, our city isn't all that bad. Like it's boring when you're a kid and you're going there and you're like, you see the same old things, but now like having an understanding of why a city is set up the way it is, or like you go into a post office or like every downtown kind of looks similar, but like the ones that are still somewhat trying to preserve their history of like, okay, this is when this town was established. These are the popular places, or these are like its mini museum or something like that. And it's like, huh, I didn't think I'd be a fan of history, but now here I find myself walking into a museum and it's actually
mm.
interesting. Maybe that means I'm just getting older or like my taste have changed up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of when you're a kid is just, you just don't like anything and you just want to get out of wherever you are.
Yeah.
And you don't appreciate things as much as you do when you're adult. And I think every city has like a charm to it and something special about it. But
Mm.
yeah, it's just when you're a kid, you just don't really notice those things unless your parents really like sort of force it upon you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to come back and revisit old places and kind of see them with a new eyes.
Mm. I guess have you felt have you seen like some cities or your hometown become a little bit more commercialized with like some of the chain stores and things like that coming in, or is it kind of kept that hometown unique vibe to it?
Yeah, there's definitely yeah, because like Edmonton has, from what I remember, has had a
Mm.
lot of unique stores, but you definitely see like there's lots of new. So my hometown is actually a suburb of Edmonton, and
Okay.
so I've seen that the suburb expand quite a bit since I've been a kid. But like almost all the new expansions, yeah, it's just strip malls and chain stores, and there's very few new restaurants and new like businesses there.
Mm,
It's mostly chain stuff. And then Edmonton is a little bit better for that. There's more there's a bit more local businesses, but
mhm,
it's yeah, like there's Walmarts everywhere. There's like Home Depot and I think actually I did hear that a lot of the chain restaurants that we kind of grew up with that were like sort of nice, like I think in the States it'd be like an Applebee's
yeah.
or around here Red Lobster or something.
Mhm,
They're kind of going out of business because the millennials now who are going to these don't want to go to these restaurants. They
yeah.
want to go to the more local, unique, interesting places.
Yeah.
So, so I think some of the big chain restaurants are going away, but the big box stores are not.
Mm. Yeah, it seems like it's
Well,
a catch 22 of like convenience versus like a piece of home, maybe.
hmm yeah, like growing up, my parents they were kind of they just took me to like the chain restaurants, and we didn't have like a local place that we really went to,
Mm.
like besides the local chain restaurant.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I didn't have a long relationship with any restaurants like that. Um, yeah, but there are a few in Edmonton that have been around for a really long time that I would go to on occasion. But I think my parents never really travel a lot too, and so like if you don't really travel,
Hmm.
sometimes you don't really know, you don't even realize something is a chain restaurant,
Mm.
and it's just the restaurants that are there. They all kind of look the same, the locals and the local ones and the chains.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Is there a lot of local businesses in where you are? Have you seen them change and evolve over
Um,
time?
I've seen some like I'm in East Georgia now, and I was out here right after leaving Plainfield when we met, and like
Mhm.
2015, 2019, and then coming like leaving, coming back this way, like I do see some of the same ones that were around. Like you've got Mellow Mushroom for a restaurant. You've got like Firehouse Sub is like a local burger place, but then you have something like Culver's that's out of Wisconsin, but it's like spreading around more and more. And like some of them stayed around through the pandemic. You have some stores that closed since the pandemic, and then
Mhm.
you have the ones that are kind of making it. But I mean, food industry wise, it seems like that's always a tough industry to be in. And the people that get in it, it's just like after you watch something like Hell's Kitchen or Kitchen Nightmares or different things like that, it's like, geez, I didn't know that's what it took. And obviously, you always hear about what servers go through. But um, to your point, like the strip malls in this area, it seems like those have been going away more. Like the main mall is still there, but like you'll drive down like a major street and you'll see like a lot of the outlets have either been shut down by the people that own the property or not exactly sure what's going on, but it looks like some areas are being built up because of the industry like cybersecurity in the area. It's bringing a lot of military personnel and bringing their families, so then they build it up a part of town in order for people to have somewhere to live, work, and play. And then other areas that's like um, the downtown area that's been their legacy. It's it's almost like it's been abandoned. Like I'm in Augusta, Georgia, so it shares the border with between Georgia and South Carolina. So you have
Mhm.
Augusta, which is on the Georgia side, but then when you cross over to the South Carolina side, it's just called North Augusta. And then you have other local cities nearby where on their side in South Carolina, it seems more built up to where one area is brand new. It almost looks like a movie set. You walk around, you're like, okay, like things are different here. You have a lot of river houses that are built right on the Savannah River. And then
Mhm.
like the more central you go into town, like it's kind of broken up. It's kind of broken down a bit. You see businesses that have been abandoned. It might be getting gentrified, or like you have a hotel all of a sudden is like brand new on one side of town down the main street, and then on the far side of town where things might be not so good, it's kind of just like abandoned, broken down. So like on this side of the main road, everything's good. And then on the other side, it's like it's just hadn't been maintained. So
Yeah.
it's it's a strange mix of a little bit of everything, but being able to see the city differently as like an engineer and also like having maybe an investment mindset of being like, okay, based off of the stories you hear in the news and like what people's motivations are, this is why this might be going on, rather than just you drive through a city, you're going to your restaurant, you're going to get what you want, or you're going home, and you don't think anything else about it. Like the more I'm driving around the same area, and then I'm trying to think of what do I do from here to the end of the year, and I look at like what have I done the last 9, 10 years, like been around, like moved around a lot, like yourself, and basically paying rent. And I'm like, okay, it would make sense, like we talked about with the profit moves and different things like that.
Mm.
Where do you put your money into places where it starts to do something back for you and you're not constantly just like working to live and
Yeah.
just feeding everybody else's pockets. But then when you turn around, it's like, well, uh, I guess we'll just count on retirement at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I get bits of that here in Edmonton too, like the that contrast of like 50-year-old apartment blocks next to brand new high rises.
Mm.
And it part of it's gentrification and but at least there is new stuff going up and like the city is sounds like the city is expanding a little bit and
Yeah,
still kind of alive.
yeah,
Probably better than like Detroit, which kind of like collapsed like a dying star, collapsed in on itself and is only now starting to kind of bounce back.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
the thing that's weird about that is I remember visiting Detroit way back when, but obviously it's like if you go, you visit somewhere that's the downtown. Oh, okay. It's being built up. Maybe it's not what I'm hearing on the news, but obviously I'm not just going to go down a random neighborhood where I'm not from and just be like, let me go find where all the problems are. But one thing that I've noticed from people that live here is that like Augusta, the main city that's known for the Masters and everything like that, it's not being built up as well as the cities to the west of it, where that's around where a lot of people are setting up. So it's like you've got this new city, Grovetown, that's been built up since the military is right in that area. And then Evans would be the next city up. So like the smaller cities may be getting more of the businesses, and because either due to business deals or someone's ego or something, it's like, oh, we're not going to fix up this because we don't get a cut of it or benefit. It's like, I guess the people that live in the city might suffer more based on the decisions of the people that they elected are or are not doing. But to really speak on it, I'd have to dig into it a little bit. And that's
mhm.
kind of where my mind's at. Like you're talking about moving back home, like moving back to this area. I'm like, okay, is this somewhere that I could call home where it's not, it's close enough to Atlanta by like 2 hours, but it's far enough away to where it's like you don't have to deal with like the Atlanta traffic and all of that. But then it still has the growing potential to where it feels like if you get something here, it has the potential to grow and then be useful to you, not where you just like, um, yeah,
Yeah, no,
there's a
I know
lot of
what you mean.
options.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, is the town growing? Do you think Augusta is it pretty like sprawled out, like a lot of low density?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's not a lot of high rises, definitely. It's like probably the tallest buildings may be a church downtown, and like you see
Hmm.
it from the overpass here and there, but you have like major roads are I-20 that run east to west, and then
Okay.
520, it's like a half moon or half circle that
Yeah.
gets you from one
Goes
side.
around.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, sort of like a half ring road.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it,
I've
those two roads definitely get a lot of activities from people going from Georgia, South Carolina, and back and forth.
yeah. So you're kind of in the middle of the two. Well, you are in the middle of the two
Yeah,
states. There's a lot
yeah,
of
and
cross traffic.
especially like from Augusta, you can get to Charlotte, South Carolina, or Charlotte, North Carolina in 2.5 hours, the same distance to Atlanta, same distance to Savannah, and the same distance to Charleston, South Carolina. So like
Oh,
you've got a lot of major cities that are pretty close by.
oh, yeah. Oh, that's neat. Uh, yeah, I guess you got lots of options for like day trips and such,
Yeah.
if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, that
Um,
having done a couple of those, it's very very useful for that. And even having attractions nearby where like we were talking about with local businesses, you have like this painting thing that I did the other day. It's pretty neat where you go in, you could make it like a family activity. Maybe kids might like to do it, but you like pick a piece of art and you just paint on it, hang out,
mm,
and they'll bake it and then come back to where you can work on it later. But
oh,
um, it has a lot of neat things like that. And I don't know if I
mm,
told you about this or like one thing I was obsessed with the first time I was out here was the this comedy theater that they called the Black Cat Theater, and they would
mm,
do shows every Friday where it was like you come in, they have like a improv show that they do 1 hour, they take a break, and then they do another show so people can
mm,
come in and out, mingle, and just have neat little things like that to hang out in. So enough activities for people of all ages, and then with the nuclear, medical, and military industries that are out here, people obviously want their kids to like enjoy different things. So you have a lot of clubs and organizations that try to make it a point to um, reinvest kind of in the community and build
mm,
better leaders and things of that sort.
mm. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think and like the little things that you can do in the city are that's what I felt like I was missing a bit in Kelowna.
Mm,
There was some stuff like that, but like Edmonton has a lot of stuff. Like
mm,
my I've only went once, even though they've been going multiple times. There's a new laser quest or laser tag place that I don't know how long it's been here, but my sister and her husband and their friends all go once a month. And so I went
okay.
with them. I'm like, oh, this is a lot of fun. And but like Kelowna never had anything like that.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
where's Kelowna in relation to Edmonton?
So Kelowna is in British Columbia. So it's southwest.
Okay.
It's so from Edmonton, if you drive 3 hours south, you get to Calgary.
Hmm.
And then if you drive like 6 hours west, you get to Kelowna.
Okay.
And then if you drive 4 hours beyond Kelowna, you'll get to Vancouver.
Jeez.
So it's called the interior, the BC interior,
Hmm.
and it's a valley. So it's called the Okanagan Valley. It extends into the U.S. too.
Gotcha.
And there's a few
Okay.
cities along this like chain of lakes in this valley, and so it's really good for outdoor stuff,
Cool.
and it's good for camping and biking and having a summer like on the lake, and you can go swimming and boating and all that kind of stuff. It's a wine valley too, so they produce a lot of wine in the region.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas Edmonton, it's on the prairies, so it's a little more flat here. But
Hmm.
Edmonton itself has a really nice river valley, so there's lots of like parks and trails and bike paths and stuff all around the river.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and the when I mentioned like, oh, it must be nice because you got all these cities like within a 2 hour-ish drive right of
Y
you. But
yeah.
one of the things I disliked about Edmonton, which hasn't really bothered me much now, but maybe it will if I end up staying here for another 5 years, is it's a little bit isolating
Hmm.
because the next major city is Calgary, which is 3 hour drive south.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's got most of the same stuff that Edmonton has. But the next major city would probably be Vancouver, which
Mm.
is like a 12-hour drive away.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's a bit isolating in that respect, but I think it balances out by being such a multicultural city.
Mhm.
So there's lots of cultural events of from different international groups, and there's lots of like restaurants and lots of those little things. Like Edmonton versus Calgary, for example. So Calgary, about an hour drive away from Calgary, maybe you've heard of Banff. It's um, it's a famous place in Canada in the mountains.
Mhm.
It's quite beautiful. So most people will leave Calgary on the weekend to go to Banff
Mhm.
or some of the other places in the mountains there, and do mountain stuff like hiking or skiing and snowboarding there.
Okay.
But Edmonton, to get to those same areas, is more like a 3 to 4 hour drive.
Mhm.
So most people will stay in Edmonton on the weekend. So
Gotcha.
because most people stay in Edmonton, there's a lot more stuff to do on the weekends.
Mm.
So on right now, there's a festival called Taste of Edmonton, where
Mhm.
they have like live bands performing, and the main draw is that all the local restaurants in Edmonton come, and you can sample all this different stuff from all these different restaurants.
Nice.
Yes. And then next weekend we have the Heritage Festival,
Mhm.
where something like 120 different countries are represented by like immigrants who have moved here, and
Mm.
they'll have displays and they'll sell stuff from their country and they'll sell food from their country and they'll do traditional dances like there's or like I don't know like China has like a kung fu demonstration and even like I think it's Ireland or the UK has like Highland dancing, and
Mm.
there's lots of African countries that do other various performances, and uh, so I'm looking forward to that next weekend.
Sounds
But
pretty
I
neat.
think yeah, all that kind of stuff. It's why like I'm trying to realize that Edmonton's really not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was when I was a kid. It's got
Mhm.
a lot going for it.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
That's awesome. It kind of reminds me of like the Taste of Chicago, and while being up in
Yeah.
that area, going to the Pitchfork Festival or just doing like
Mhm.
a music festival for the first time, being like, oh, okay, this is what all the ranting and raving's about, and just seeing different tastes, different smells, different sounds, and things like that. And you're able to take it all in. Of course, it's summertime, so it's like if the weather's nice, it's not too hot. You're like, okay, I can bear with this, and just see
Mhm.
people in a good mood when they're out and about. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah, especially here too. It's since our summers are so short, people really try to make the most of it. So there's
Mm,
people out all the time.
gotcha.
And it kind of balances out with the winter when everyone's stuck inside.
Yeah,
But
like I
even, yeah, go ahead.
no, you go.
Okay, I was gonna say even in the winters though, like I said, I kind of hated the winters when I was here, but shortly before I left 9 years ago, I started getting into cross country skiing,
Mm,
and Edmonton has a ton of free cross country ski trails all over the city. And they groom the trails for free, like the city does it. And Kelowna didn't have that either. Like
mm,
they had skiing, like downhill skiing in the mountains, but it's kind of a far drive from the city because you're in a big valley.
gotcha.
And they had some cross country, but still, I would have to like drive for a half hour to get there.
Hmm.
But also in my like in the suburb where I grew up, they have also have a lot of cross country skiing there, like really good trails through these little wooded areas, and it's all free. You just got to bring your own skis.
Yeah,
And it's super close. It was like a 5 minute drive from my parents' house.
I guess how does cross country skiing works? I've never skied a day in my life, so the closest I've been to snow is like when it snows randomly in Georgia, or like
Uh,
I lived in Cleveland, Tennessee for a little bit, and I think we got maybe like six, maybe like I wouldn't say 6 feet of snow. That seems like a bit much, but it was a significant amount.
yeah, yeah. So the difference between cross country skiing and downhill skiing So in downhill skiing, you get on like a chairlift and it brings you up the mountain,
Hmm.
and then you ski down with gravity the whole time.
Okay.
And then you're never really on a flat part unless, like, well, unless you have to be to go to another area. So it's kind of it's much more expensive because you have to pay for the lift, pay the
Hmm.
lift to get up the lifts, and the skis are designed differently, so they're much thicker and
Hmm.
stronger because there's a lot more force when you're going down the hills. But cross country skiing is there's no ski lifts involved, and usually it's through like when I say they groom the paths, the cross country skis are much thinner and longer
Hmm.
and lighter, especially lighter. And they hinge at the foot. So when you lift your foot up and pull the ski forward.
Oh,
So it's much more physical, like it's more cardio based.
yeah.
And then the oh yeah, so the grooming for that is they make actual tracks in the snow. There's a special thing that flattens the snow and builds like these tracks along it.
Hmm.
And so you'll put your skis in the tracks so they don't slide laterally and you just ski forward. And
Oh.
the skis have like imagine like a fish scale on the bottom so that it slides over the snow one way, but when you try to go back, it gets caught. So you
Hmm.
actually can stick your ski in the snow and use it to push forward.
Nice.
So it's quite fun because I think it's fun. A lot of people think it's really difficult, and it kind of is because you're outside in like a natural area and you're skiing along and it's fast it's much faster than walking because you can slide each time
Hmm.
you kick off you slide forward and then you can go up little hills and then you get to ski down the hill too so you pick up some speed and it's pretty fun and it's a nice thing to do in winter it's that's the key for me was like finding winter activities that I liked so
Hmm.
winter wasn't such a drag and
Right.
such a difficult I don't want to go outside and uh, just suffer through all the our basically 6 months of winter here.
Yeah. So like how far would you ski on a regular day?
Someone just called me. Pardon me?
How far would you ski on a regular day? Like when you just want to go
Oh,
out for an outing?
um, I could probably do like 3 to 5 kilometers in a day. That's like 2 to 3 miles.
Hmm.
And on a bit of a longer day, I would go for like maybe 2 hours. And
Okay.
yeah, I'm trying to remember because I would usually track how far I went. I think I went like 8 or 9 miles once.
Hmm.
Uh, and then usually like the paths are sometimes that long too. They have depending on how they're groomed, there's lots of paths around here. Because it's really
Nice.
cheap to groom a path. You just get like a snowmobile with
Hmm.
like the trailer that and you just drive it along and it automatically pulls behind the ski path.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So at my when I was staying with my dad, he has cross country ski trails just outside his yard. Like behind his yard, there's a park and they build ski trails there. So I could
Nice.
go basically every day. And like in the summer for fitness, I like to go for walks or biking or whatever. But in the winter, oh, I'll just take the skis out and just do a little quick couple laps of the area and we get all this fitness and not hate the winter so much.
I like that. And I guess with that, would you still you'd still sweat and everything, even as cold as it is? And would you
Yeah.
be out there in like minus 40 degree or like how do you gauge when you go do it or you don't do it? You're like, not today.
Yeah, so it depends on the conditions of the snow. You're kind of
Mm,
because they don't because it's like a free pass. So if there's been recent snowfalls and they plowed the paths,
hmm.
the trails are usually pretty good. And so that's the number one consideration. And then yeah, the temperature is the other one. So you don't really want to go if it's too warm, like if it's starting to melt,
Mm,
then you can't really get a good grip on the snow. And then if it's too cold, I have gone when it's like minus 30 to minus 40 Celsius and I really when it's that cold, I'm like wearing goggles and gloves and like thermal layers. But it's it's tricky because it's like going for a run almost,
mm,
where build up a lot of internal heat. So when I first go out there, I'm quite cold because I'm underdressed more than I
Right.
normally would be. But then quickly after you go on for a while, you build up that heat quite quite fast. And but it is kind of like okay, how much clothing do I need right now? And so I usually try to always wear bigger gloves because your hands usually get the first thing to get cold and your feet.
Mhm.
But I usually get something where I can just sort of like unzip a jacket or take like a little scarf, like take that off if I start
Mhm.
getting too warm as I'm going.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hmm.
Cool. And I guess now that you're job searching again, are you looking to do engineering primarily, or are you like switching fields?
Yeah, I'm looking to get back into engineering. So I always enjoyed working for CBI
Mm,
and but I just don't want to I don't like the projects that they do in Alberta.
mm,
So I'm trying to get back into that kind of work. So
gotcha.
I've applying for a lot of like city jobs, like civil construction type jobs, but also I've been applying for the other big EPC companies.
Mm,
Like up here we have like Stantec, AECOM, WSP. Um, there's other ones, but I'm kind of blanking on them right now. But like
gotcha.
the big PCL, I don't know if you have PCL in the States, but they're a big construction company. Because I kind of decided, so now that I've traveled so much, because
Mm,
when I was in Taiwan, we did a bunch of other trips around Asia. Now that I've traveled so much and lived in so many different places, I don't know about you, but that drive to go explore isn't really as strong as it used to
mm.
be.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So like I'm open to go working somewhere else again, but I'm perfectly happy just finding a job here, like a
Yeah,
good long-term job here, which is why I would love to work for like a city
yeah.
or the province,
Mm,
because that's like a really strong job. And I also think that I'd be more motivated to be working for the people
yeah,
more or less, as opposed to making company more money.
right.
So the kind of I either want to get like a long-term job with a that's like um, stable with a city or the province, or a job that with a big engineering company that maybe I could travel and go live somewhere else again,
Right.
just if the opportunity presents itself.
Gotcha. I might be able to send a couple of things your way because it's what's funny, it's always like when you start working somewhere or like when you're busy, that's when people start looking for you. And then when you're looking for them, they're like, oh no, it's like you look under everything and like nobody seems to be available. But sometimes I'm
Yeah.
kind of iffy about some of these because it's like if I have multiple recruiters kind of reaching out from the same recruiting company, I'm like, are they just trying to do it for their numbers or is this like something legitimate? Like someone had reached out asking about like a fully remote uh position, like full-time position. And I was like, okay, that sounds interesting, but I like what I'm doing and I want to see what I'm doing through. But like
Hmm.
it seeing that they're looking for a lot of design engineers, I got like a taste of design engineering when I was back in Plainfield and a little bit at the start of this year. But the more I look at it, I'm like, I really enjoy doing construction because it's like it keeps you in the field and it keeps you busy. What,
Hmm.
not saying that design engineer doesn't, but it's like it's nice seeing the problems that you're trying to solve. Like you're trying to foresee the problems in the future, but it's not until you talk to the person that's going to be building it and the ones that have the experience or just you develop the experience to be like, okay, this is where this might be problematic, and then you get to troubleshoot other ideas that are just as good, if not better. And then being able to work with some people now that are they have those experience and like they're talking through the project of like, okay, hey, we've got to design, we've got to get 60% of this done, 90% of it, 100%. But like as they're talking through it, it's like, okay, let's have this meeting for like 30 minutes and say, here's what we considered because this would make it easier for constructability. And it's like passing it around on like a Teams call to say, what do you guys think? And just seeing that kind of like openness with people where like I've seen other people where it's like, no, we're gonna do it my way because I said so. And it's like, okay, well, we'll see how that works out. And then they may never say sorry or like, oh, I messed up. It's just like, yeah, we came up with another solution or something. It's like, oh, okay, you did you? And it's like,
Oh
well,
yeah,
we'll just kick that can down the road and then circle
yeah,
back to it when it's more important.
yeah. No, I hear you though. Like working construction and seeing those problems, they feel a lot more real when it's like right in front of you and they need to figure something out now,
Yeah,
as opposed to like there's nothing wrong with design work, but yeah, it's so abstract.
yeah.
Well, depending on what you're doing, but it can change very easily. So it doesn't feel as real.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say it's just interesting because on either end, someone has to do it, and like on the design side, you have to do it within a timely manner to where the project can actually get started. And then on the construction side, you got to get it finished within a reasonable budget so that people can actually use it. Otherwise, it's like
Mm.
if you have something built that no one uses and it's like sits there for years unless it can be repurposed, it's like, well, if we gave you money to go work on something, we're not just going to turn right around and give you more money to go build something else that just becomes useless.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to see the progress of the projects and the ones that get used and don't use, especially for like big like publicly facing projects.
Mm,
Yeah, because I know in one of the projects that I've always found interesting is the like the transit projects for like building light rail in new
yeah.
cities. So Edmonton's building a lot of new light rail right now,
Mhm,
and you see the pushback from some people like it's taking too long, it's too expensive, and blah blah blah. But most of the time, not all the time, most of the time when these new projects open, they like have more ridership than they thought they would,
mm,
and so Edmonton especially has been really good for that. Like, and which is one of the reasons I like being back here. They There's a lot of support for those projects
yeah.
and like alternative modes of travels. Like, so Edmonton is also building a lot of new bike lanes and like active transportation networks, and I
Hmm.
really appreciate that.
Gotcha. Is that something you'd like to get into? Like that specifically for transit?
You know, I would, but what I've kind of realized, because I've applied for a few of those jobs, is that because I went to school for mechanical engineering,
Hmm.
and most of those jobs are looking for civil engineers.
Right.
And even though I still have a little bit of that civil type experience through CB&I,
Hmm.
sometimes it's just having the wrong degree is enough, I assume enough to get my resume thrown out.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, like so much of job searching is guesswork because I basically never know why my application was no good.
Mm,
And so I have to guess, like, okay, because sometimes it doesn't matter. They were going to hire their friend's nephew or something, so I had no chance. But
mm,
other times it's like, oh, did I have an error in my, uh, or they did not like my resume? Did I have some sort of error in the cover letter?
mm,
Is it just because I'm in Edmonton and they were hiring for somebody in Calgary? And
mm,
so so yeah, I would love to get involved in like civil construction for cities, like active transportation, transit projects, rail, that kind of stuff. But I don't have any experience in that, and so I've kind of I think for me to get involved in that, I would have to get in with a company that does that,
mm.
but enter into the company any way I could. Like
Right.
like join a different project group and then get transferred to the one that I actually want.
Mm. Yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
the other thing, if I really wanted to do as much as I could, is I could go back to school for, like transit multimodal infrastructure project, something, I don't know, maybe a master's program.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's going back to school and having another 2 years of like no income and all that. Like, I don't know if I'm really up for that again.
Right.
I feel like I've done a lot of school up to this point, and I just want to, even if I can still kind of like follow those projects kind of as a hobby and
Hmm.
work in another industry. Or, oh, another thing I was thinking was that I've actually been out of work now for like out of engineering work
Hmm.
for over 2 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
that right there might disqualify me from a lot of jobs
Right.
because people see a gap in a resume. Even though I explain the gap, I say what I was doing
Hmm.
and why I did it and benefits I got from it, it still might be an automatic rejection.
Right. I guess it seems like I had a conversation with someone that kind of helped me with the job search way back when, but like some of the principles still apply, but to your point, it's like some of the things are different with AI and other things, searching tools, but it always seems like the one-to-one model seems to work best where like as a mechanical engineer, there's the I don't know how it works in Canada, but like for the nuclear side, there's a lot of welding inspectors and quality inspectors. That's like another avenue where someone with with your credentials could be able to get in, but then it always seems to come down to like who it is, and if like there's someone
Yeah.
on that project kind of picking their brain, seeing if they need help. Because when I left the area where I was at now, I went home for a bit kind of trying to figure out what would be next. And then, kind of off of a whim, did a short stint with FEMA as a contractor. But then after
Mhm.
that, like went home, worked a local job that didn't really have anything to do with engineering, but then went to work with someone that I went to college with. And it was like a discipline of engineering that I studied, civil, but it is like soils. And it was like, okay, I can do this using some of the experience that I've used working other civil jobs, but it's different where now instead of doing construction, we're doing pre-construction soil testing work. And then from there, ultimately being able to get back into nuclear was mainly based in the fact that, oh, you've done this construction project for this many years, and that seems like something we can use in this area. But it's to your point, it's definitely one of those things where it's like a whole lot of things are kind of like shaking and moving, but then it all goes back to like, okay, who in the area do I know that can be a resource or that I can be resourceful to like work with it? Because honestly, it seems like it shouldn't be complicated, but it's like the more technologies we get at times, they seem to make things more difficult. It's like we're
Mhm.
going twice as far to get half the distance that we needed to get to. And it's like, I thought
Mhm.
all this stuff was supposed to make things easier, but it's like, it's just more information that makes things more muddied and just more complicated than they need to be at
Yeah,
times.
totally. Yeah, I've asked, I've gotten a few referrals, and those ones haven't really led anywhere. But yeah, like now, when I'm cold applying,
Mhm.
like on LinkedIn or whatever, for a while I was using AI to draft cover letters, but
Yeah.
then I heard, oh, they can spot AI cover letters a mile away. There's lots of
Mhm.
there's very obvious tells. So then I scrapped all that and went back to normal cover letters, and then a lot of it is a lot of places I've heard use the ATS, the applicant tracking system,
Mhm.
which looks for certain keywords and ranks your application.
Mhm.
So you have to trick this automated system to try to get your thing up at the top by like loading your cover letter with keywords, and it has to match the job description really well. And you kind of I remember having to do that stuff a little bit in the past,
Yeah.
but even when I was in New York, I was applying for jobs back in Canada, and I don't know if you did, but I remember we had to make like an internal resume.
Yeah, yeah.
where yeah, so I was basically just copying that internal resume, tweaking it a tiny bit, and using that to apply for jobs.
Hmm.
And in the matter of a couple months, I had like two interviews and with my like crappy internal resume.
Hmm.
And but now, like the kind of prevailing notion is that your resume should not just be a list of duties, it should be like, what did you accomplish? It should be like situation, action, result.
Right.
So I tried to change as much as I could without injecting fake numbers. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I did this thing and improved efficiency by this much and
Right.
improved the yield of our whatever by this much. But even with my improved resume and all this stuff, it's like I'm spinning my wheels.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of frustrating because the job, even in the past, like 3 years ago,
Hmm.
applying for jobs is different, was different than it is today.
Right.
Now that AI is here. And then all the recruiters are using AI to
Yeah.
filter out all the resumes.
Mm. I saw.
So I think yeah, I think ultimately I'll probably find a job through one of my contacts. And I just
Mhm.
gotta, keep asking people basically.
Yeah. And what was interesting is like I tried using like a thing, I think it was called dot AI, and it was supposed to
Mm.
basically take your resume and take your LinkedIn profile and try to match you up with what you listed as your credentials with what they're looking for, and just be like, okay, hey, this is like 90%, 70% or like close to what it is you're looking for. And it seemed like maybe I wasn't sure if it was helping, but ultimately, the ones that I got a call back from again was a recommendation of like someone that I did Toastmasters with before and someone that I worked with in nuclear before, where it was like, hey, this company's looking for this, and is literally like, okay, let me go through this path that they shared with me and then talk to someone that's directly there because otherwise it does kind of feel like you're spinning your wheels, but then sometimes you wonder like, is it all of those applications that I put out? Is that what ultimately got me in the door or got me kind of like in the what would you call it? Like in my friend's mindset to be like, "Oh, hey, are you looking for this?" or kind of thing. It's weird how it works out, but definitely anything that I run into, I'll be sending your way. And
Yeah, for sure.
I won't
Yeah,
keep you too
appreciate
much
that.
longer, but one of the things I forgot to ask at the beginning, which I've been asking it at the beginning, but I think it's a good way to maybe close out on this question is for anyone who doesn't know you, who do you say you are?
Yeah, I consider myself somebody who is just trying to make my way in the world while holding true to my own values and ethics and trying to live my life to the fullest, but not at the expense of, other people or other things. Like I'm not a believer in like there's so much hyper consumption now, so I live a pretty what I think is a fairly modest life. I don't have a lot of things and fancy stuff and yeah, I just like to kind of live true to what I my own values of what I think is a good life.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for doing this, and I'll do a better job about. I know the interviews are like years in between, but I'll definitely do a better job of staying in touch more than 2 years
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to chat a little sooner.
for sure. Thanks, Brendan.
All right. We'll catch you later.